everyone, good morning. You're watching Market Fatafat right here on ET Now. I'm Mubina Kapasi. New heights for the Nifty. It's 11,783 and counting. So great gains going for the benchmark index. And the Sensex too, in fact, is just about approaching 39,300. So let's see if we are able to hit that coveted 40,000 mark in the next couple of days. But yeah, great gains for the benchmarks. The broader markets, however, while they're in the green, they're not really gaining with the pace at which the benchmarks are gaining. Where exactly are we seeing momentum? Interestingly, it's across the spans of sectors. So infra, consumption, FMCG, metals, all of these are among the top sectoral gainers, whereas realty and media today are taking a bit of a back seat. Let's run you through then the topics of the show, and that is about the big movers and shakers. That's what we are going to be discussing over the course of the next 25 odd minutes. And we have with us Soumya Sharma, as always, from our research team, along with Kunal Bothra. And today joining us to give us a technical gist of individual stocks is Kunal Rambia, founder and fund manager with The Street. So thanks to all of you for joining in, and let's kickstart the show with the very first stock, and that's Jet Airways. Yesterday we had news that Naresh Goyal had pledged a further stake in the company. Additionally, that there's going to be a very important meeting as well within the banks, with the board as well, and international operations continue to be cancelled till the 19th of April. All of these developments have taken place in Jet. Soumya, what else is the news? What should we watch out for in today's board meeting?
Well, like Mubina, you said, the international operations have been extended, cancellation has been extended to April 19. The lenders have, according to ET reports, that what we're gathering is lenders have failed to reach consensus over emergency refueling of Jet. Well, this is on back because some banks are demanding more pledged shares of Goyal and planes owned by Jet as collateral for releasing these loans. Well, the stock is reacting on this news flow, is down by over 3%. Even the CEO said that the interim funding hasn't been forthcoming so far. So that's what the update in Jet Airways is.
All right, moving on to the next stock, Kunal, Federal Bank. What exactly is it that you like about this stock?
So it's one of the stocks which has relatively underperformed, but in this market scenario we've seen a lot of the underperforming stocks trying to catch up one by one and then move into their own phase of strong uptrend. I believe Federal Bank could be one of the few stocks which should try and rally from current levels. It's forming a bullish pennant formation on the daily charts, and the breakout is closer to 100 mark for the stock price. So it's almost 2.5% away from this breakout on long-term charts, and I believe that to be a very strong breakout for Federal Bank. So I would expect traders to keep this stock into their radar above 100. I believe the stock can rally till almost 115 quite swiftly.
All right, moving on to the next stock, and that is ICICI Bank. Soumya, what does Goldman Sachs have to say?
Well, Goldman is maintaining a buy stance on ICICI Bank with the target price of 492 per share. Well, they say it's not just a play on the credit cycle return, and with the growing credit demand, they expect ICICI Bank to deliver ROAs of 1.8% and a return on equity of around 17%. They expect to see a turnaround in the corporate businesses, and thus they're maintaining a buy stance on ICICI Bank with a target price of 492 per share.
All right, and yes, you are seeing ICICI Bank gain very smartly today in trade. But it's Wipro that everyone has their eyes out on, not just because of the fact that they have to report their fourth quarter numbers today, but there's some major negative news, and that is the company confirming that its IT systems have been breached, and it also said that it has had to hire a forensic firm after cybersecurity investigation website Krebs on Security reported that hackers had compromised the IT company systems and used them to launch attack on the firm's clients. In fact, the site also reported that Wipro was dealing with a multi-month intrusion from an assumed state-sponsored attacker, and that the systems were seen being used to attack at least a dozen of its clients. It's very disturbing news for sure. An IT company currently being hacked is something that would keep this stock as a cynosure of all eyes, and Wipro, as we speak, is just about near the day's low. Kunal Rambia as well joins us now on the show. Hi Kunal. Let's talk about Titan. With the pricing action that we are seeing today, 2.5% high at the day's high, what would you make of this move?
So if I look at the Titan broader movement right from a couple of months, this stock is clearly an uptrend. So it came down right from the top and it made a bottom near to 1085. So I would keep the stop loss of 1085 and I would go long on the counter. I expect the counter to make the highs of around 1130, 1145.
so it's a buy, and yes, Titan certainly has been having very steady gains now, in fact even above 1100 rupees. Soumya, we've been saying for some time now, Jet's loss is Spice's gain.
Well, yes, the SpiceJet is expanding its Bombardier fleet by inducting 5 more of Q400s. There have been new additions made, which will take the new fleet of Bombardier to 32 aircraft. So, well, 3 of these planes will join SpiceJet's fleet in next 10 days, while the remaining will be inducted by June. Well, this new additions will enhance SpiceJet's domestic and Udan connectivity. Well, let me tell you, even last week, the company had announced induction of 16 Boeing 737-800 aircraft on dry lease. Well, the stock has been gaining very smartly by over 6% today in trade.
All right, moving on to the next stock. Kunal, what a steady up move witnessed in DHFL. What would you make of this move?
Yeah, I think the stock had been relatively underperforming, of course, on the back of all those news flows and events which transpired in the last few months and quarters. But nevertheless, I think when you look at charts purely, when you look at the price move, there is a strong trend in the making for DHFL and for the other NBFC stroke HFC names. So I believe DHFL could also see some more upside if this momentum continues. The stock is far below its 200-day moving average, which I think is almost 50% off from current levels. So I believe there could be a strong case of trend reversal or a continuation for DHFL. For short-term trader, I believe it could be a good opportunity to buy into the stock. Keep a stop loss of 165 and look out for targets of 185 plus.
All right, that's a strategy on DHFL. Kunal, you have a buy on Bata India. What's your rationale?
So now again, this stock is clearly in uptrend, just making higher top, higher bottom formation. And whenever it comes down to retest the near-term moving averages, it's always a great buy. So keeping that thing in mind, the stock made a new high today. I expect the stock to continue the momentum. Keep the stop loss of 1410 and expect the counter to reach 1500 mark in short span of time.
All right, a buy on Bata India. Meantime, Maruti today is a stock we'd like to flag off. Do remember the stock had fallen to almost about 6,800 levels, but since then a lot of auto stocks have really been showing quite a bounce. Tata Motors, of course, is something we've been highlighting for some time now, but even Maruti cannot be ignored. This move over here, 1.4% higher. Remember, we've had brokerage notes as well, where they have sounded off positive commentary for Maruti. Of course, in the short term, there may be some disturbance on the volume front, but yeah, otherwise, we've been talking about pricing, etc., where the entire discounting pressure should perhaps ease off a little bit, and Maruti, among the other auto stocks, has really been showing quite a bounce. In fact, it's now making its way towards 7,500 rupees. Kunal Bothra, over to you now. FMCG, I think today is a strong spot. ITC as well is gaining smartly. What would be your view here?
So the stock broke out of a multi swing resistance kind of a pattern on the daily charts. I think 2 days back, previous week. And now, after a bit of a pause yesterday, the stock is seeing a continuation upside. When you see, the stock scaling up higher, volumes, volume patterns improving significantly, it just about indicates that the stock is gearing up for a new trend in the making. On the longer term charts as well, the stock is poised for a strong breakout above those 310, 312 levels. So even if you're a short-term trader, I believe ITC could be a good bet, for a buy till target of 318, 319, and stop loss could be kept at 300 mark.
All right, that's the view on ITC. Soumya, meantime, good news for Dr. Reddy's.
Well, the company has received an establishment inspection report indicating closure of the inspection for its formulations plant 3 at Bachapalli in Hyderabad. In Feb 2019, the site had undergone an audit by the US FDA. Now, the US FDA, the drug regulator, has issued 11 observations post this recent inspection in the Form 483. Well, let me tell you, Bachapalli is a relatively old OSD site, accounting for approximately 45% of the US revenues. So, the stock has been reacting to the news flow, up by over 1%.
Okay, there you have it. That's the view. That's the news on Dr. Reddy's, and it's higher by 1%. Kunal, we were talking about FMCG as a pack. Dabur, here you're not very optimistic. What's the reason?
Dabur was under decent symmetrical triangle formation, I would say, and the breakdown was at around 425 levels, and right from that level it made a low of around 400. It has bounced back again compared to the fall, but I'm not really optimistic about the counter. If someone wants to go for some trade in FMCG sector, then I think HUL would be preferred over Dabur.
Okay, HUL is something that Kunal Rambia is flagging off as a stock that could be preferred over a Dabur if within the FMCG pack. Motherson Sumi, important news over here. This after one of its key customers, that's Volkswagen, has actually improved their sales guidance. This is something that's very, very important. Remember, it's an important client as well for Motherson Sumi, and Volkswagen has said that on account of the cuts that have come in VAT in certain parts of the Middle East, they have improved their sales guidance, and that is something that would in turn bode well for Motherson Sumi. 2% higher for the stock price. Finally, some good news coming in for this auto ancillary major. Soumya, Tata Metallics, how were the numbers?
Well, this stock is posting second straight day of gains. Talking about the results, the revenue was up by over 9% to 594 crore rupees. Talking about profit, it was even up by over 18% to 64 crore rupees. EBITDA was slightly down by over 9%, and margins also contracted from 16.1% to 13.6%. Apart from this, the deferred tax credit in Q4 was at 19.45 crore rupees versus 5 crore in the last year. So the stock is gaining back by over 1.2%.
Okay, that's Tata Metallics, 1.3% higher, reacting to its Q4 numbers. Cummins India as well is something we want to flag off. This after Credit Suisse has actually flagged off the stock. They are saying that Cummins has not lost overall share, but many changes are at a sub-segmental level. Amongst larger gensets, there is a significant share loss in the HHP segment to Perkins and Kirloskar, but it has not lost market share in the 375 to 750 kVA segment. It has a Kirloskar, remember, has a sizable market share in higher rating gensets, and Caterpillar has a presence apart from Perkins. So highlighting the competition that's currently there for Cummins, Credit Suisse has been flagging that off. The stock price is down by 0.7%. Okay, 15 stocks done. So I think we'll just take a very quick breather right here on the show. Come right back. The countdown will continue. Welcome back. Let's continue with the countdown of the big movers and shakers today in trade. Gati is a stock we want to flag off. Look at the way the stock has actually surged just in the last couple of minutes of trade. It's now, in fact, higher by a whopping 6%. What a surge witnessed over there. And I wouldn't say that it's some sort of a coordinated buy coming in for the other logistics stocks. But yeah, there is some sort of momentum seen in stocks like an all cargo logistics as well. But again, Blue Dart is not participating. So I think you could say that most of the gains is limited to a Gati itself. Remember, ET now had reported a story approximately 2 weeks earlier regarding an M&A transaction that would involve Gati. The stock price at this point of time in the last couple of minutes of trade has surged. In fact, it's at the day's high. So Gati is one big buzzer that we want to flag off on market Fatafat. Kunal, why are you flagging off Torrent Power?
So I believe the stock is on the verge of a strong breakout. I think on the daily charts there are some bullish flag or a pennant combination kind of a patterns. But when you look at the monthly charts and especially the line charts, I think the picture could be absolutely clear. The stock was going through a very tight consolidation, like a range-bound action on the monthly charts, and it's nearing a breakout on multi-degree time frame charts. So daily time frame, as I said, a bullish flag or a pennant pattern. But I believe on the monthly charts as well, there is some strong breakouts, both in terms of price as well as indicators. I believe Torrent Power could be one of the few stocks. It's a high beta stock, which could rally substantially from current levels. As a short-term play, you could look at 280, 285 as an immediate target, but the rewards could be far more higher for a longer-term investor.
All right, so that's Torrent Power for you. Kunal believes that it's at the point of breakout. Soumya, Metropolis listed yesterday, saw a great first day, and today that seems to be continuing.
Well, yes, the stock was in focus yesterday for its stellar debut on the exchanges. Today also the company is in focus on back of a bulk deal, wherein Brightstar Investments bought 7 lakh shares at the price of 948 per share. And also smaller cap World Fund also bought close to about 7 lakh shares at the price of 957.6 or 7 per share. So that's what's keeping the stock higher by over 2.3%.
Okay, there you have it. That's the view coming in on a Metropolis. There's that buy deal as well that took place yesterday in trade. Okay, another stock we want to flag off is Escorts. Kunal Rambia, let's go across to you now for this one. Here as well, you're a bit circumspect. One key factor for these tractor names would also be yesterday's IMD prediction. Just about a near normal monsoon is what they are predicting, and naturally Escorts is one stock that would be impacted on account of that. But on the technicals purely, what are you predicting over here?
So when I look at the Escort bottom, it made bottom of around 560 levels, and right from that level it made a high of 825, 830 levels. Right now, if I'm looking at the weekly charts, it's exactly halting at the downward trend line resistance mark, which is placed at around 835 levels. So if you're already long on the counter, trail the stop very strictly, and if you're not long on the counter, then wait for the breakout above 835. Till then, avoid the counter.
All right, so clear cut avoid for now, but of course watch out for those levels that Kunal has flagged off. PC Jewelers, you know, it's not just today where we are seeing significant gains coming in, but I think even on Friday's trading session, and there was some buying seen on Monday as well, which caused the stock to actually surge from levels of 94 and 95 all the way now to 145 rupees. So just in the last 3 working trading sessions, we have seen this 50 odd rupees surge come by in the stock price of PC Jewelers, almost a 50% gain seen. Massive up move witnessed today as well, the stock price, and as we speak, in fact, it's just about near the day's high at 145 rupees. All right, Kunal Bothra, ICICI Bank, what is it that you're witnessing in the way the stock has moved here?
Can't miss out, you know, discussing about private sector banks in this, you know, last 2 months of this strong market rally. We've had phases of you know, names like ICICI Bank, etc. doing well. Now ICICI Bank is trying to catch up. The stock had been underperforming back on the back of some you know, key issues which you highlighted I think in the fag end of 2018, but now it's making a very good comeback. On short-term charts, there are bullish flag pattern getting formed. You know, the stock is trying, the volume patterns are so intriguing that you know, it indicates that the stock could retest its previous swing high, lifetime highs as well, and cross beyond that as well. So as a short-term play, you could look at another 45 to 50 rupees upside from on ICICI Bank in the very near term.
Okay, 1792 for ICICI, and yes, like Kunal said, you know, can't you know, talk about Fatafat and not mention private sector banks. Samya, let's talk about Deepak Fertilizers. What's the news over here?
Well, in Deepak Fertilizers, the company has commenced commercial production of nitric acid plant in Dahej in Gujarat at an approximate investment value of 550 crore rupees. The new facility has production capacity of over 92 kilotons per annum for concentrated nitric acid and about 149 kilotons per annum for diluted nitric acid. Well, the stock is seeing the second day of gaining momentum and is up by today. It's up by over 9%, backed by robust traded volumes.
All right, Kunal, over to you then. Another aviation stock, Indigo. What would be your recommendation here?
So, you know, the stock is definitely near to all-time high, but if you look at the daily chart, there is a flag formation breakout just a day or 2 days before. The breakout was placed nearly 1450 mark, and the stock surged immediately after surpassing the resistance mark. So, you know, go long on the counter near to 1455 mark, because that turns out to be the resistance mark, and you know, the retesting may happen. Keeping the stop loss of 1385, I expect the counters to make high of near to say 1700 mark.
Okay, it's a buy on Indigo. Moving on to the next stock, and it's another result reaction. Tin Plate, part of the Tata Group, delivered its numbers, and it's not been the best set. The revenue growth has been very, very muted, only at about 5.2% at 654 crore rupees. And on the profit front, on account of the compression witnessed on the EBITDA margins, we have seen the bottom line dip a tad bit. So from 28.5 crore rupees in the corresponding quarter, it's come in only at 27.6 crore rupees. Kunal, let's talk about another big mover, the metal space, and in that, Hindalco. What is it that's causing you to flag off this stock?
So the stock, you know, in terms of chart structure, is coming back and hitting its 200 moving average. It's the 4th attempt in the last 2 weeks. The stock is trying to challenge its average, and in most of the attempts, the stock has been making a pattern of higher lows. Now that generally in technical terms indicate that the demand is, you know, increasing for the stock, and you might see the stock breaking out of this 200 moving average. Now we've seen this pattern happening for a lot of the stocks across sectors, that when the stock crosses its 200 moving average, sustains above it, it starts a new trend for itself, which is where I believe Hindalco could also be taken to notice about. On a positional basis, I believe the stock could rally another 5 to 10% in the very immediate term.
All right, so that's Hindalco strategy from Kunal Bothra. Soumya, how are Hathaway's numbers?
Well, Mubina, talking about the numbers, the revenue was down by over 9% and was stood at over 132 crore rupees. The PAT was recorded and stood at 212.5 crore rupees versus 12.6 crore in the last year. Even the deferred tax credit was at around 268 crore rupees. Apart from this, the new TRI order seemed to have had impacted the company's financial results. The stock is down by over 0.2%.
Okay, there you have it. That's the word coming in on Pathway cable. Thanks for that, Soumya. 0.2% down. Kunal, Ramya, let's now talk about the Nifty IT index, which certainly has been the cynosure of all eyes on account of the numbers of the two major companies, and of course the third one's expected today. How should traders position themselves here?
I would take a liberty to take a little longer view as far as the IT index is concerned. Spot Nifty IT made the high of around 16,200 in September. Right from that level, it came down by 2,000 points, took the support of 200 days exponential average. It retested the same high in February, and this is the third attempt when it's making the same high, which is near to 16,200 mark. So by any chance, so this pattern is known as the cup and handle formation of over the last 6 to 8 months. So once this the index manages to go above 16,200, 300 kind of mark, I expect the 5% kind of rally. So keeping stop of then around say 15,750, one can expect the target of 17,250, 17,300 on the index front.
Have it, that's a view coming in on the Nifty IT. Soumya, let's talk about Cyient. What's the news here?
Well, Mubina, the stock is gaining for the second straight day. The news flow for today is the company has launched portfolio of services and solutions that will help communication service providers to expedite the 5G network rollouts globally, and that's why the stock has been in focus today and is gaining by over 1.4%.
All right, that's Cyient for you, 1.4%. Well, we're out of time on this edition of the show, so Soumya and both the Kunals, thank you so much for joining in on Market Fatafat and helping our viewers out with your technical strategies as well as the stocks and news. We'll wrap it up. Coming up next is Markets at Noon.